What's up? I am Runs with Alpacas, and I have another deck profile. This one is for Fire Fist Zoodiac. This is nothing that's going to make any sort of a splash in the current meta, but if you're just looking for a fun deck to play, and something that could potentially be good in the future, then I think this is a good deck to look into. So it mostly makes use of the 3-axis Fire Fist build, and some of the still good Zoodiac monsters, with a few of the level 4 Fire Fists thrown in. And without further ado, I'll get right into it. To start off, I play 2 copies of Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Bear and 1 copy of Gorilla. So I play 2 Bear and 1 Gorilla just because I think dealing with your opponent's monsters is a little bit more impactful than dealing with their spells and traps. We have other ways to deal with their spells and traps. Now these are the only level 4 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist monsters I play. The rest of the Fire Fist monsters are all the 3-axis engine, because I think that's a little more useful for generating some advantage. It's not all that useful advantage, but having board presence is still very important. So I start off with these. Next, I play 3 copies of Leopard. Leopard will tribute a Fire Fist monster you control to set a Fire Formation spell trap directly from the deck. Generally, you're going to tribute Leopard by its own effect to get either Tanky or Tensu, depending on what you have in your hand, to eventually go into your Horse Prince. So I play 3 copies of Leopard. Next, I play 3 copies of Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Spirit. This is your tuner for the deck. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon a level 3 fire monster with 200 or less defense from your graveyard. So this is either going to get the Leopard that tributes itself, or it's going to get a Rooster that's in your graveyard to get Rooster's search effect. But the most important thing is that this, and the monster that you revive with it, is going to get you into your Horse Prince, which will get you into a Rooster, which will search another card, and you're just going to generate advantage off of this card. So it's only board presence, and again, any advantage is good advantage. Then lastly, I play 2 copies of Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Rooster. I only play 2 Rooster because you don't want to see this in your hand. You do want to summon it from your deck. If it is in your hand, you can play around the fact that you drew it. It's not too hard, but you definitely don't want to see multiples of these, so just 2 is fine. For the Zoodiac monsters, I play 2 copies of Zoodiac Thoroughblade. This is the main one that you want to summon, either off of Barrage or normal summon it if it's in your hand, just to get that draw effect by discarding another Zoodiac card. Next, I play 2 copies of Zoodiac Whiptail, and then 1 Ram and 1 Bunny Blast. Either the Ram or the Bunny Blast can be replaced with like a Coach Soldier Wolfbark if you happen to have one of those. I do not, nor do I think it's that important to play. But Ram can revive a Zoodiac monster from your grave. Bunny Blast can get the Barrage back from the grave. And, Whiptail is just decent quick effect to attach to your Zoodiac monster. And it makes that your Zoodiac Xyz banishes monsters, so that's not bad. The last 3 monsters I play are Kaijus. I play 1 Kumongous, 1 Dogoran, and 1 Jizukiru. So this is a little bit weird. It's not weird that I'm playing Kaijus. This is definitely a deck you want to go second with and break through boards. But Dogoran is mandatory because you play Doolittle Chimera in the extra deck, so you can revive this when Doolittle is destroyed. So since this is mandatory, I opted to play a Kaiju bigger than it and 1 Kaiju smaller than it, so that you can give your opponent the Dogoran and give yourself the Jizukiru to attack over the Dogoran, which puts it in grave quickest to be able to revive with Doolittle Chimera. That's kind of the idea I'm going with for that. You could play Dogoran and 2 Kaijus smaller than it, but I don't have 2 Kaijus smaller than it right now, so we have to make do with what we can. That's it for monsters. For spells, I'm playing 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki. This is your searcher for almost any monster in the deck. Super strong. You can destroy this card with other Fire Fist monsters to clear cards on your opponent's side of the field, so Tenki's really good. Next, I play 3 copies of Fire Formation Tensu. This gives you that extra normal summon. You can only do that once per turn, but having any amount of extra normal summon is really, really strong. And all the fire formation spells give you an extra 100 attack on your beast warriors, which is really, really important. For the rest of the fire formation spells, I play 2 copies of Gyoko and 1 copy of Yoko. So Yoko, you discard a beast warrior to destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field. It's just a good spot removal card. And then Gyoko, you target a set spell or trap your opponent controls. Then they cannot activate that card in response, and they cannot activate that card as long as Gyoko is on the field. So this is good against cards, or this is good against decks such as Altergeist or Sky Striker. This is not exactly spell speed 4 because your opponent can activate other cards in response to this activation, just not the one that you target. So it's like spell speed 3.5 basically, but it's still a good card. Next, I play 3 copies of Zoodiac Barrage. Zoodiac Barrage and any other Zoodiac monster gets you into a free Link 2, which for this deck is the Daruma Doll. And you get an extra draw off of the Thoroughblade, so Zoodiac Barrage is really strong. Next, I play 2 copies of Pot of Desires. Most of the important cards in this deck are either at 2 or at 3, so Desires doesn't hurt too much. You just want to see the cards that you need to see as quickly as you can, and I always think 2 Desires is a good ratio for any 40 card deck. Lastly, I play 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Dark Hole, and 1 Kaiju Slumber. So Monster Reborn is Monster Reborn, it's just a really strong card, and then having board wipes going second is just really good. That's it for spells. For traps, I play 1 copy of Tensin. It's not super impactful, but being able to boost a Beast Warrior by 700 attack is really strong. Then all your other Beast Warriors are gaining 300 on top of that. It's searchable, you can set it directly from the deck, so I think 1 copy of this card is fine. Then lastly, I play 1 copy of Judgment and 1 copy of Warning. You mostly want to go second with this deck, and these cards are good going first or second, depending on the situation. I might replace these with Strike at some point, because I think going second, playing Solemn cards, Strike is probably a little more impactful, but these are what I have for now, and they get the job done. That's it for the main deck. It's 40 cards. For the extra deck, I'm playing 2 copies of Doolittle Chimera. For now, I'm playing 2 copies, and eventually will be cut down to 1. That'll be when the Fire Formation link comes out, whenever that actually happens, but for now, 2 Doolittle Chimeras is really good. It boosts all your fires by 500, and when this is destroyed, you can get a fire monster back from your grave. Like I mentioned earlier, you can get your Dogoran back to have another Kaiju to answer your opponent's field, so Doolittle is really good in this deck. Next, I'm playing 2 copies of Firefighting Daruma Doll. This is a really good card for any Beast Warrior strategy. It's spot removal for spells and traps. You just send 1 from each side of the field to the graveyard, and when this destroys a monster by battle, you can get one of your Beast Warriors that's in your graveyard or in your banished pile and add it back to your hand. So this card's really strong, also gains 100 attack for each Beast Warrior on the field. I play 2 copies of this card for now. I could play a Mrs. Radiant because you make this with your little Zoodiac combo in the deck, but I like this card just a lot better. It serves the same purpose as Mrs. Radiant would, as reviving a monster, so play 2 copies of that. The last 2 links I play are Nightmare Cerberus and Nightmare Phoenix, just more spot removal cards. Phoenix is actually cool because if you have Doolittle on the field as well, this gets the 500 attack boost, and that's really strong. It becomes a 2400 attack link too. That's really, really good. For Xyz monsters, I play 1 copy of Lion Emperor. You don't go into this too often, but it's really useful. You detach a material to add a fire monster from your grave to your hand, so this is another way to get Dogoran back into your hand. If you're playing Ash Blossoms, because those are fire, you can return that to your hand as well. You just can't use the effect of that monster the same turn you add it back. So 1 copy of Lion Emperor, 2 of it never comes up. And then I play 1 copy of Breaksword. Just this is my other rank 3. You know, Breaksword's really good. It's just this deck is a lot of spot removal, and Breaksword is just another way to do that. Next, I play 1 copy of Cardinal and 1 copy of Tiger King. Cardinal is a little harder to go into because you need to make it with 2 Fire Fist monsters, and we're only playing 3 of the level 4s. Tiger King is a little easier to go into. This just shuts off all monster effects for a turn. This is like Castell, but way, way better. So I play those 2. Then lastly, I play 1 Borbo and 1 Chalkanine. Chalkanine is your free Link 2. I might bump this up to 2 eventually, but for now, just playing 1 and 1. Borbo attacks directly. Chalkanine is your Link 2 maker, so that's their only functions. Lastly, I play 2 copies of Horse Prince and 1 copy of Vulcan the Divine. Vulcan Divine is a cool card. When it's summoned, you can return 1 face-up card on each side of the field, and the opponent cannot activate cards with that effect until the next turn. And then Horse Prince is just your advantage maker. When this is special summoned, or rather when it's synchro summoned, you special summon a Rooster from your deck. If Rooster gets you a search, Rooster can destroy a Fire Formation spell trap to get another search, so this card is really good for generating advantage. So that is the entire deck profile. Like I mentioned, this is nothing super competitive. Maybe with some other cards like Ash Blossoms, if you want to throw this in there, it can be a little bit more competitively viable, but I doubt it. It's just something that's cool to play around with. You know, Zoodiac was such a powerhouse back in the day. Fire Fist was such a powerhouse back in the day. It's cool to have two decks from the past combined to be able to work together. And I think when the Fire Fist Link comes out, this might be like a more viable deck than it is. But for now, it's just something that's fun to play, and I hope that's what you get out of it if you do play something like this. So once again, I hope you enjoyed, and see you later.